Now, before we move into some of that and Apocalypse 13, I want to discuss some more of the features of this beast which really make a lot of sense. And I want to talk about the 10 horns, okay? And we already discussed how the 10 horns come from Daniel, and Daniel identified the 10 horns essentially as the expanse, the reach, the extent, the territory of the Roman Empire. 10 horns. And the European Union has those 10 horns because it basically covers more or less of the same area, an empire on the Mediterranean, in Europe, etc. Now, in Apocalypse 17, these verses we've been discussing about the beast getting more into its particulars, we learn more about the 10 horns, picking up in Apocalypse 17, 11 and 12. And the beast which was and is not, the same also is the 8th and is of the 7, and goeth into destruction. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, who have not yet received a kingdom, but shall receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast, or after the beast, depending on the translation. The more precise translation is with the beast. These, referring to the 10 horns who are 10 kings, have one design, and their strength and power they shall deliver to the beast. Now, following what we've been saying, the 10 horns are basically the territories, the nations of the European area. They were the nations allied with the Roman Empire, the territories, the peoples who were part of it. It's referring here to the different member states of the European Union. They receive a kingdom 1 hour with the beast. As soon as the European Union comes into existence, the member states gain a kind of kingdom within that union. However, it says that these 10 kings or horns have one design, and their strength and power they deliver to the beast. That fits precisely with the European Union because the member states, their kingship is nominal, okay? It's really a name. They are at the mercy of the European Union. They deliver all of their power to the European Union, which determines its monetary policy for everyone. It determines their laws. It determines how things are to be done in all of those states. And so their power is really negligible without the approval of the European Union, the beast. And so they deliver all of their power that they have, all of their sovereignty is given to the beast. And it goes on in verse 16 to say, And the 10 horns which thou sawest in the beast, these shall hate the harlot, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and shall burn her with fire. For God hath given it into their hearts to do that which pleaseth him, that they give their kingdom to the beast, till the words of God be fulfilled. Okay, there are a lot of things that are very interesting in this. It says that the 10 horns hate the harlot, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh. Well, normally this wouldn't seem to make sense, because the image we're given is that you have the beast, and it has 7 heads, 10 horns, and it says that the great harlot is riding on top of the beast. It tells us that in Apocalypse 17, that the harlot is on top of the beast, and the horns are part of the beast. So normally you would think that the horns would be one with the harlot, that the horns would not be at variance with the harlot. But this tells us that the horns, the 10 horns, hate the harlot and make her desolate and naked. But that fits again exactly with the European Union. The member states hate the Vatican II Church, the Roman harlot. Okay, again, we didn't really cover this, but we've covered this in our other material. Why Rome is now the whore of Babylon. See our video on that. The Vatican II apostate church is the great harlot. Not the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is the true church. But the Vatican II Church, which has apostatized from Christ, is the great harlot. And so the member states of the EU hate her. They try to expose her sex scandals. They sue her. They try to divest her of all her property. They try to make her desolate and naked. They try to mock her in their media outlets. They hate the harlot because even though it is an apostate sect, even by having the name of the Catholic Church, it stands as a conviction to their godlessness and their utter liberalism. And so they want to destroy and remove and extirpate any vestiges of Catholicism from the earth. And this is God's way of punishing the harlot, because it says, "For God hath given it into their hearts to do that which pleaseth him, that they give their kingdom to the beast till the words of God be fulfilled." And so, with the reality we're seeing, how Europe hates the harlot, right now we're seeing it in the news all over the place. They cannot expose the Vatican II sect and its sex scandals enough. They try to make it look as bad as possible. And by their godlessness, by their promotion of liberalism, by their promotion of homosexuality and gay, quote, marriage in certain places, and homosexual unions, they make the churches, which are allied with the harlot, even more liberal and lifeless and desolate. So this fits exactly. Now, something else that is extremely interesting is the fact that Europa, that name for Europe, comes from Greek mythology. Europa in Greek mythology was a woman who was abducted by Zeus. And the way that Europa is pictured in Greek mythology is a woman riding on a beast. Here's the picture. This is Europa, the name from which we get Europe. And the image here of Europa is signified by a woman riding on a beast. Here's another one, okay? Now, in the Apocalypse, here's what St. John says. Apocalypse 17:3, quote, "And I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." End quote. So St. John sees a woman on a beast. We're clearly showing the evidence that the European Union is the beast out of the sea. Europa, the name, comes from Greek mythology, where the woman is pictured riding on a beast, and in fact the European Union uses this symbol. Here's a picture of the official stamp of the second election European Parliament of the European Union. We see a woman on a beast, okay? And it's even more incredible because we see the 7 hills here. Look at the hills. There's 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exactly as we see described in the Apocalypse. We also see a fish here indicating some kind of water. Well, in Apocalypse chapter 17, it says that the great harlot sits upon many waters. Apocalypse 17:15, quote, "And he said to me, The waters which thou sawest, where the harlot sitteth, are peoples, nations, and tongues." End quote. The symbolism is stunning, so specific, and there's even more. Here is the sculpture outside of the European Union Parliament building in Brussels, Belgium. We see the same image. We see a beast with a woman riding on top of it. The same image, Europa, the same image that St. John describes. It's used repeatedly by the European Union. Is St. John giving us a clear indication that the beast has to do with and is Europe? I believe so. In fact, here's a 1563 depiction of the Tower of Babel, a famous one by a Flemish painter. And the Tower of Babel, of course, comes from Genesis chapter 11, in which we read, the people tried to build a tower which reached to heaven. They tried to become one without God, and God confounded them, separated them. And this Tower of Babel was basically representative of the evil goal of man trying to have a union without God's truth and trying to achieve utopia and heaven on earth without God. Well, here's a picture of the European Union Parliament building in Strasbourg, France. It was designed to look like the Tower of Babel. Look at the amazing similarities. It even has the unfinished look, like it's still being built, which is how the Tower of Babel is depicted. It represents the new Tower of Babel, the new union without God, the new world empire, the European empire without God. This is truly stunning. Additionally, there is also this poster we see here, which was released by the European Union, in which we see the Tower of Babel depicted, and we read Europe, many tongues, one voice, signifying this wicked Antichrist union without God. And we see here the people drawn as block figures building the tower. Then we see inverted pentagrams here above the tower, which is a satanic symbol. This is on a poster which represented the European Union. And what's so amazing is that the European Union's official constitution did not mention God or Christianity even once. That is astounding when you consider how Catholic Europe was inextricably bound up with the faith. No mention of God or Jesus Christ at all. Even our own American Constitution, written by Freemasons, mentions God.